AngularJS is based upon MVC design pattern. Controller play a very important role in the AngularJS. So it exposes the data and the different functionality to the view. It no need to expose that entire model or entire data to the view. It can slice it up and only expose what is needed by the view. So the question is not what controller can do. The question is what the controller should not do. Because it is once you start developing and try to put all the functionality, so it may become very huge. So better to keep in mind from the very beginning to keep this controller as very slim. Using controller, you should not directly manipulate DOM, getting the ID or class and changing their attribute and value. You should not use controller for validate any form element, whether it is email is valid or those kind of stuff. And there is no need for doing some kind of additional look and feel to the view. For example, changing the decimal number to readable format or customizing that look and feel of a particular attribute. So this controller should not be used for doing that. Also, it is not a component which is meant to be reusable across various components. So it is meant to only, it is better to associate only one view with one controller, and one controller you should keep in a one file. That would be make it easier to maintain. Saying all that, still controller plays a very vital role. It exposes all the key data model on all the functionality to the view. So view is only needs to interact with the controller to get the data and to do anything. If a user click on a button, what needs to be done, it should happen through a controller. And controller in turns can talk to any different services which may interact again with the server to update this data. Okay. So how controller set the data with the view? So there is one AngularJS variable which is known as scope. If you remember, in JavaScript, if you create any variable in the JavaScript, so usually those are assigned in the global scope, so which leads to lot of error and lot of issues. So if you find in different article about the problem associated with the global scope, but this is a better way to handle the variable management in AngularJS using a scope, and we will see some of the other improved version in the later stage of in different tutorial. And the variable or the functionality associated with the scope is only visible in this one controller or in the view where this controller is used. If there are multiple controller are there, so this scope there will be different scope for each controller. Okay. In this example, we can create a person controller, and here we have associated a name variable. This is our model, and this is one say hi function. So we can associate the data as well as the function inside the scope. So scope is an object, and the variable at the same time the function can be accessed using the dot notation. And here we simply hard coded Steve here. And this function is simple. We pass the name, and this will return a string which say hi name, and this we can use inside our view. Now we have created some HTML tag. So here this ng controller is a AngularJS attribute or the directive. Here we specify the controller name. In this case is person controller. And here using Angular JavaScript expression, we try to access the variable. Here see, remember, there is no need to give the $scope, and this will automatically use the name of the person controller. So it will display the Steve over here. And here also there is no need to use scope. So we access this function from the scope, and in this case we pass the name. So this variable we pass. If you pass in a double quote, we can pass any hard-coded name if you would like to. Let's start create a simple application and we will create our first controller. So just to begin with, we can define, just for clarity's sake or simplicity, I have tried to get rid of HTML, script tag and all this stuff. So I have added in the setting the AngularJS module in the JavaScript as I shown last time. So I got access to all the AngularJS automatically added by this code pin. So I don't need to edit again. Okay. So I just create a division where I will associate the application and the controller. So first of all, I need to create any one application module. So I given the name as app, and I don't need any additional dependency. So this array is empty for this timing. Okay. So now I will define the controller. I given the controller name and I will define one function. So in this function I will pass scope, what we will use it. Okay. So that's it. So we have defined a module and we given our application name as app, and we have defined controller and we given as a person controller name, and here we are passing the variable as scope. For our HTML to recognize that there is some JavaScript is there, so we have to associate it. So we have to first associate with the application ng app. Usually this should be specified in the HTML or in the very root level element of your application. Let us give app, and next we have to give controller is equal to okay. So I given. But if you notice here, I not define any kind of model property. So let's go ahead and define some property. So scope.name is equal to Eric. Okay. See, I define the name and we assign some static data here. So now in our model, I want to access this variable. So it is very simple. We can define any tag. I define one paragraph. So given some name. And before that, let me close it. So we can access that using name. Okay. So if you see here, automatically the Eric came here. Let us make it bold so it will be visible a little bit more. Okay. So if you can see, the Eric is flashing over here. So this data come from the scope variable, and if you notice, I don't need to declare scope. The scope is automatically available. So if I want to access somewhere outside, I may not get that value here. Okay, so if you see, it is the name only displaying. So I can't access this name value outside the scope. This is known as scope. Wherever that all the children element, they can access any properties or model view or any function inside it. So I cannot access outside. So the scope is only available in this particular block only. Okay. So let us define any small function. So scope, say hi, function name. So I will pass the name, whichever the name I will pass, and we can say return hi. If you want to don't pass one to name, and if you want to use, you can directly use it. So so this will be a little bit generic function. So any name you will pass irrespective of your scope variable, it will just say hi that name. So just to call it, we define another paragraph. So we'll use any Angular expression, say hi. So if you see here, I can say Rahul. Okay. So here if you see, it is say hi Rahul. If I want to pass Eric, the same name variable, I can still pass it. Oh, sorry, I made it capital. Name. Oh yeah, it came. So it is hi Eric. It takes a flash of second, but I can pass the name because it is available in the scope. So you can notice it is not double code or anything, and I am not using semicolon, which is also not mandatory over here. So this is the way how you can access the name and the method. And there is one more thing. This is known as the dollars and whatever started. If you can see this module, it's provided by AngularJS. Okay, and there is a little bit better way to write it. Okay, instead of writing this way, because once you want to run in the client side, so it minifies it and convert to A, B, X, Y, Z kind of thing using some tool just to increase your performance and load time. So better to use this notation. I just enclose it in the square bracket, comma. Okay, so it will behave the same. If you see, there is no behavior change. If you change Eric to Steve, it is purely functional. And if you can, okay, let us go. Okay, there is some problem. Okay, I forgotten. Okay, I put this array bracket a little bit outside. Okay, now it came. See, hi Steve and all this thing. Sorry, you have to just close it here. Then the closure of controller, it will follow after that. Okay, just be a little bit careful about when you close which bracket. Usually, if you use some other ID, it will just prompt you. So Okay, thanks for watching this video.